Hey everybody, this is herculespetix, founder, curator, docent, and gift shop employee of the herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies. Tonight we're going to be looking at Roots of the Swamp Thing, number 1 and number 2. These are the first two parts of a 5-part mini-series. I'll be looking at number 3 through 5 on the next video. These 1986 comics reprinted the original Swamp Things by Wein and Berni Wrightson. And some of the best comics of the 70s. I never owned them. Pretty much my comic collecting began after that glory days of the early 70s when Kaluta was drawing the Shadow and just all this great stuff was going on, and I missed it. And then the prices were crazy when I was a kid. They were very expensive back issues. So when these came out, I was already reading Alan Moore's Swamp Thing. I was very excited to buy these, and I did. And these is some great stuff, especially considering the time. You know, these came out in 72, the originals. This first issue has a wraparound whale painting by Berni Wrightson. I've never seen him paint in this style. I almost wouldn't recognize his art on this. It's really nice, though. Good stuff, but just very different. Okay, let's crack this open. So we start off with a reprint of Swamp Thing number 1. Big criticism of this comic is that these reprints is that not all the covers are reprinted. It's very annoying. And they could have done it. There's pages in here where they reprint random things by Wein and Wrightson. I don't know why they didn't reprint the covers. So it's kind of annoying. Okay, here we go. And so Len Wein, it's that like really purple prose that certain writers had in the early 70s. Guys like Jerry Conway and, you know, even Don McGregor. And I'll give you an example. The darkness cries, a long, mournful wail that writhes through the gnarled cypress branches like a breath of Hades wind, skipping over the placid surface of the stagnant mire below. So we're in the swamps here in the Everglades. I believe it's the Everglades. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's a different swamp. And we see all these kind of swamp critters. And a car drives through this bayou. And here's the title page, Dark Genesis. I love Berni Wrightson stuff. It seems like this first issue is, I don't know if he was rushed or if he literally had a learning curve that was crazy, because I have some of his fanzine work reprinted from like late 60s, early 70s, and the art's better than this. This is still damn good. But you'll see in the next few issues, though, things definitely get better very quickly. So I don't know if he was rushed or not. So we see the Swamp Thing, and he's staring at this barn, and he's saying, "They will return, the ones who killed me, and I will be waiting." So now the Swamp Thing, he has a flashback. He remembers back when he was Alec Holland, a normal man, well, a scientist, and his wife, Linda, she's also a scientist. And here's this government agent, FBI guy named Matt Cable. Now, he's kind of their handler. These guys have been put in this barn to work on this amazing new invention of theirs, the biorestorative serum or whatever it's called, formula. And it's a weird face there. But look at this. It's if you guys ever saw Berni Wrightson's beautiful Frankenstein portfolio, where it's almost like this crazy amount of test tubes and beakers, like showing Frankenstein's laboratory. You see, he already was into that then, like just really drawing the shit out of this stuff. It's interesting, young Berni Wrightson would always do this thing, which like hundreds of fanzine artists throughout the years would emulate. First of all, you don't have to be able to draw eyes. It's probably very quick, but it looks kind of cool sometimes. He overuses it in here where sometimes it's like, it looks like he's wearing sunglasses or something. Like the light source wouldn't make him his eyes that shaded. So I don't know, it's just a little thing I noticed about Wrightson's art. And also growing up in the 70s, how many young artists would do that? Just try to copy that, you know? I think I drew some drawings like that when I was trying to trying to learn how to draw, which I gave up. So there's a knock on the door. These three kind of goony looking guys come in. This main guy's name is Ferret. He says, "I'd like to talk to you." And he basically makes them an offer they can't refuse. He's like, "My boss would offer you a blank check for the exclusive rights to your formula." And Alec Holland tells them to go shove it. And they storm off. And they're like, "We'll be back." So Matt Cable shows up. And he's like, "Where the hell were you? You're supposed to be, looking out for us." These three goons came. So basically this formula is very important. And whoever controls it will control the world. So of course there's going to be people who want it by any means necessary. So, he basically warns Alec and Linda, "You guys, people are going to be after you, so be really careful." They hear another sound at the door, some kind of scratching. And so this time Alec's more prepared. He has a gun. It turns out to be a cute little dog. This dog is so weird the way he Wrightson drums. It looks like he has a mustache, a big bushy mustache. I guess there could be a breed that looks like this, but he almost looks like North from the Green Lantern Corps. I think that's how you say his name. Turns out the dog has got a little monitor on him, a little transmitter, and this guy's listening in. He calls into his boss, and Mr. E, this guy, who's got a pet monkey, a kind of poorly drawn monkey. It looks like a little hairy dude, like a mini Sasquatch or something. And so this is the guy who's behind all of these shenanigans. He wants that biorestorative formula, but if he can't have it, nobody will. And if he can't get it from him, he's going to just kill him, because he doesn't want anyone having that if he can't. Ferret comes back, and his main goon, Bruno, knocks out Alec Holland. And I guess Linda's away somewhere. They don't really explain that. When he wakes up, this dynamite strapped to the bottom of this table with all the chemicals. See, this is why I think it's rushed, this issue. There's some bad. That's not a very good Wrightson face. He can do better than that. Some of these faces look not worthy of Wrightson. God, I've read this since I was a kid. Even before I had these, there were other reprints of Swamp Thing. And there's something about this panel that is so amazing. Like, it's riveting. It's right up there with the Hulk getting belted by gamma rays for the first time, or Bruce Banner when he pushed Rick Jones into that hole. There's something iconic about that panel. So he runs screaming into the swamp. He's on fire. The chemicals are fusing with him. He's in utter pain. We cut away. Next day, or a few days later, it's his funeral. And Linda's there with Matt Cable. Matt takes her back to the barn. And he says, "Well, I guess you can continue his work." Some of the dialogue what Wein does is kind of annoying. Like, just people say stupid shit just to sound cool, I guess. I'll try to find one later. Oh yeah, this is what Matt Cable says here. "Funny, when I was a kid, it used to rain like this, dark, chilling, as if the sky were alive and living felt pain. And living felt pain. It feels that way again tonight. And lady, I don't like it." It's like a bad 70s cop show. I love these scenes of just Wrightson drawing like fauna and flora of the swamp. So we see a little frog here, and then the water starts churning. It's Alec Holland is now reborn as the Swamp Thing. There's a fucking iconic panel. I mean, all these are great. And this page, that is just, one of the best full page panels in 70s comics. So he goes back to the barn. Basically, he's going to look after Linda. He's going to look after her welfare. But he knows, he sees his reflection in the mirror, and he's like, "Oh, she can't see me, though. So I'll just kind of hover around her. Because if she sees me, it'll be horrible." So the dog runs outside the barn. Matt Cable goes out to fetch it. Here's some great Wrightson stuff. And Bruno shows up, and Bruno knocks him on the head with a shovel. Knocks him out. Enter Ferret and Bruno. Once again, they're going to terrorize Linda. Meanwhile, Swamp Thing hears a sound, a dog baying. He runs to find the source of it. It's that dog, you know, the mustache dog. He's in the quicksand. He's in quicksand. Swamp Thing rescues him, but and then all of a sudden he hears a gunshot, and he's like, "Linda, no! I've got to get back to the lab." And by the time he gets back, she's dead already. Of course, he's just like, "Linda, it's my fault. I shouldn't have turned away." And he hears a car driving away. He knows it's Ferret and his goods. He smashes through the barn, chases it down, or gets in front of it. Look at this crazy panel. I don't know why, even as a kid, something about this composition seems off. I don't know. Who knows? But so something's weird about it. So Swamp Thing starts beating the shit out of Bruno. It's kind of weird, I think, because it's Comics Code authorized comic. They don't really say, and Swamp Thing kills him. But he does kill these guys. They just don't say it. It's pretty obvious they're dead. Because later on he says something like, "They'll never bother anyone again." So he finishes off Bruno, and then Ferret's shooting at him. And the bullets have no effect on him. And it looks like he kills Ferret too. And then all of a sudden he gets shot again. It's Matt Cable. So Matt Cable doesn't know what the hell's going on. He thinks that this monster's responsible for the Holland's death. I don't understand why. I mean, the whole premise of this is like his origin, is so flawed, because Matt Cable knows that these goons have been fucking with the Hollands. The goons are there. Maybe he doesn't see them. I don't know. But he just assumes this monster did it. This monster rigged dynamite to a table. I don't know. And shot a woman. So Swamp Thing just shambles off. So listen to this dumb dialogue. Or this is Swamp Thing thinking. "No, Cable, I'm afraid I can't come with you. Much as I want to, I can't go with you. And Lord help me, I can't take you with me." Why would he want to take him with him? It just sounds like a lot of writers in the 70s that did that, a lot of them. That's a strange. That was just like Neil Adams stepped in for a second. This panel. And so he sadly walks off. And meanwhile, countless miles away, in a tower at the top of the world, we see the hand of a very weird-looking hand. And he's ordering his little creatures to get Swamp Thing. So now issue number 2 is reprinted, and same creative team. I should mention Joe Orlando is the editor of these, and Joe Orlando was a great editor. And my parents actually knew Joe Orlando. They always tell me about their old buddy who lived in the city. And for some reason, I was a huge comic fan, but I never said, "Really? Can I meet him sometime?" I can't believe it. I might have told you guys too, Pat Broderick was my dad's patient. But I never once said, "Hey, Dad, can I come to the office that day and meet Pat Broderick?" I guess I was just really shy and stupid, basically. So now we start our second issue. Swamp Thing's adopted that dog, that funny-looking dog, and he's watching as the morgue, the morgue van, whatever they call it, takes away those 2 goons. Once again, Matt Cable doesn't say, "Hey, I think these are the guys who killed the Hollands." He's just like, "Oh, I'm going to get that Swamp Thing." We see a flashback to the first issue. Another great explosion panel. And we can already see in this issue, Wrightson's, it's way better. The faces are all illustrated better. And so all of a sudden, after the everyone leaves, Swamp Thing's attacked by the Unmen. That's what these guys are called. And this guy's in charge. This little guy, I think his name's Cranius or something. I love this. It's a hand with a brain on top of it. I love this guy. It's like, he's got no legs. He's got a weird face. And then where his crotch should be is another head, another face. This is like some great Wrightson imaginative shit. These are really kind of goony, kind of scary, but also kind of silly monsters. But really, they're all very imaginative. So the Cranius, whatever his name is like, he's like, yeah, the master wants him. Hurry, get him. So we still don't know who this master is. Look at these great panels of monstrous action. So then one of them is named Ophidian. And I guess he can hypnotize people and kind of, whatever, fuck with their brains. So he wraps around Swamp Thing and he makes them pass out. This guy's funny. Cranius. So now we see, well, I guess the ambulance is still there, whatever. The meat wagon. And Cable hears something. And then all of a sudden they look up in the sky and there's a plane flying with a Swamp Thing attached to the bottom. They're just hauling him. And Matt Cable once again vows to get Swamp Thing for killing his best friends. That's another weird thing that kind of, throughout the issues, he keeps talking about how the Cables were his best friends. But in the first issue, it seems like he's just the guy who's their handler, you know, from the government, making sure they're safe. But I mean, I'm nitpicking. So the plane goes all the way across the Atlantic. It settles, it lands in the Balkans somewhere. This is such a weird little, I don't know, interlude here. He's on this kind of crucifix, and they basically use him as a raft. This is one Unmen with 4 arms. They float him down this river through this weird, like, you know, Dante's Inferno, like, maw to the cave. It's like, it's very just bizarre, this whole sequence. It's like something like I could almost picture like, this would be in like Shen on the Luge or something. Like some real surreal masterpiece. Like this weird journey into Hades. They put him on a cart and they take him down to the nether regions of this mountain. And when they come out, there's the castle. And they're almost home. So this whole time Swamp Thing's asleep. Right when they get in the castle, Swamp Thing wakes up, snaps his chains, breaks the crucifix, and starts beating the shit out of these Unmen. There's a fun page. He kind of gets cornered onto this. I don't know why this castle would have this. Like it's like a plank, like walking the plank in a pirate ship. It's just this giant beam coming out, and all of a sudden the Unmen stop attacking him because a voice rings out. Now, my pets, you shouldn't be so rough with your new playmate. And it's Arcane, the master. Arcane is the major villain in Swamp Thing. And I really like his Arcane showing up because Wrightson's really good at drawing old men, every wrinkle. He draws old men with the relish of Drew Friedman. A totally different style, of course. But he really seems to get into drawing every little nasty wrinkle in the face. And so Arcane basically is playing like as his buddy. He's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I had to make sure you came. That's why I sent my Unmen. I'm so sorry that I didn't, it was so rough. So he tells him about himself. He basically knows all of these arcane arts, the secret of immortality, for example. But he doesn't want to do it in this horrible body. He'll be stuck in this body. So I guess for years, he's been trying to make a synthetic body, hence the Unmen, because they're all kind of failed experiments. So he does mention he has even worse experiments these guys who basically have no brains. They're more human in form, but are nearly useless because they have no brains. And we see this strange figure here. So keep that in note. Keep that in mind. And basically he makes Swamp Thing a deal. He says, I can turn you back into Alec Holland. I can turn you back into a man. And then I'll take your body. And then I can, because my body's dying. Here's another odd sequence. Arcane's saying, don't you want to be human? Don't you care? And Swamp Thing's like, I care. So he gets in, once again, look at this laboratory. The shelves are all festooned with all this weird shit. And they do the experiment, basically. Here's another nice, decrepit old man face. Meanwhile, Matt is getting ready for his trip to the Balkans. He's going to follow Swamp Thing. I guess they saw the plane. They know where it's heading, the FBI. Meanwhile, we see that other guy, the mobster. I guess he's the head of the conclave, who I think are just like this big mob, you know, super secret. There's that stupid monkey. And God, I just love these unmen. They're so great. So the experiment works. It's a mix of science and sorcery, so it doesn't really make sense. So he's Alec Holland again. He's thrilled. And now Arcane has the body of Swamp Thing. You know, still playing all chummy with him. He's like, oh, stay in this room for the night. Of course, Alec can't help but think about Linda. He's happy that he's human again. I like this. Here's an example of Wein's wordplay. As the dispirited doctor makes his way through Caligarian corridors. I like that, using Caligarian as an adjective. And it does look pretty cool. This like crazy, almost like a German expressionistic film like Caligari. So he's wandering around at night. I think he can't get to sleep. And he realizes Arcane's real plan. Arcane says, now that I have this, you know, super strong form, I'm going to wreak havoc on the small village beneath the castle. For years they scorned me, and now I'll destroy them all. So, of course, Alec is like, I can't let this happen. I'm going to have to sacrifice my humanity. I guess there was something with that transformation spell. I can't remember. You could interrupt it. It's still like an ongoing process. This thing needs to be, I don't know. Sorry, guys. I can't even explain it. It's stupid. But basically, he can reverse it. That's all I should have said. I don't know why I was trying to explain this silly thing. There's a guard, an unman guarding this thing, because Arcane knows how important it is. He doesn't want his spell undone. And this unman looks like he's like the Hulk's little brother with 4 arms. And yet Alec Holland subdues him, just a normal man. I love this. That's a great body language there. Looks like a John Severin face there. His anger. And so he disrupts the spell, reverses it, and here we see Alec Holland turn back into Swamp Thing, and Arcane turns back into his decrepit old self. He orders the unmen to attack him once again, and then Arcane runs away. Swamp Thing follows him, and Arcane stumbles out of a window to his death, apparent death. Now, all the unmen don't know what to do. They stop fighting. They're just like, oh, master. And they all look at each other for a second, think, and then decide to all jump out the window after him. A mass suicide. Without their master, they don't want to live, I guess. And now Swamp Thing heads out of the castle. But meanwhile, that little guy I told you to keep in mind, kind of Frankenstein-looking guy, he's watching Swamp Thing intently. We have a little, very tiny bio of Len Wein. And that's it for number 1. Roots of the Swamp Thing #2. And this one does not have a wrapper on cover. So this is a reprint of one of the original covers. I can't remember which one. I imagine #3, which will be the first issue to be reprinted here. The Patchwork Man. I love this logo. Very funky. So Swamp Thing's like still like on that mountainside, looking down at the town. He's kind of reflecting on the last issue, and he's bummed that he's not human, that he had to sacrifice that. Another thing about that first, that issue we just read, I just want to mention, like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, he has an army of unmen. He could have unleashed them on the town years ago. I mean, they can kick Swamp Thing's ass, or almost kick his ass. I'm sure they could have killed all these people in the village. But, I don't know. He needed the body of Swamp Thing to do it. But it also seems so paltry. Like, oh, I have this immortality, and I'm not going to take over the world. I'm just going to fuck with this one little town in the Balkans. Sorry, I'm being a nitpicker. So Swamp Thing goes to Arcane's laboratory, which is now abandoned, of course. And he realizes that he's too clumsy now. His hands are too big and thick. He can't work the beakers. He was going to try to make a cure for himself. I love this panel. Look at this. Enraged, he smashes everything. All of a sudden, he starts falling through the floor. I guess it's weak. And all of a sudden, this hand grabs him and rescues him. It's the Patchwork Man. And unfortunately, Swamp Thing is too slimy to hold on to. So Swamp Thing falls and falls through that crazy scaffolding that we saw earlier, the Caligarian scaffolding, and lands and is completely conked out. Now we see Matt Cable in his airplane, in an airplane, flying to the Balkans. He's got the dog. Now, he's adopted the dog. Of course, the dog still has the transmitter. So the head of the conclave is still listening in on everything. He goes to the little village. Nobody will talk to him except for this woman. And this woman's name? Abigail Arcane. This is Arcane's niece. And it's weird how, like, this looks like Beset and Total Bin to me. It doesn't really look like Berni Wrightson that much. It looks like Beset Total Bin more. Maybe with a hint of Veitch. But she's very nice. And Matt, introduces himself. She runs the clinic in town. And he tells her what's up. Meanwhile, we see Swamp Thing waking up from that plummet. And it's like embers, burning embers are falling on him. That's why he woke up. And he looks up the hole in the roof that he fell through. And he sees the Patchwork Man's on fire. Something went off. Something exploded or something. And he's like, I gotta get out of here. All those chemicals in there, the whole place is gonna blow. So he's in this underground stream. Look at this great drawing here, how illustrative that is. This is like, the stuff he would do later, like in the Frankenstein portfolio. Well, some of his Warren work too. Just doing that like Joseph Clement Cole, golden age of illustration, all those thousands of lines to draw texture and shape. So meanwhile, the castle's blown up. Matt Cable's there. Abigail's like, I have to run to the castle. That's my uncle. He's the only family I have. And Matt says, oh, don't be a fool. Once again, Matt Cable says some really corny shit. And Wein can't help himself. It's weird. So then we see the Patchwork Man's alive. Yeah, I guess he fell into this lake and put out the fire. As he's walking, he starts having these vestigial memories of who he once was. Because he's kind of mindless. He's, kind of like a big simpleton. And I kind of like the way Wrightson does this. These thin little panels. And we see that he was once Arcane's brother. And in the memory, we've realized, he's Abigail's father. We see little Abigail, the apple of his eye. A little cute little girl. And then all of a sudden, there's an explosion under his feet, and he blacks out. He wakes up in his brother's laboratory, in that Arcane's laboratory. He says, "Brother, I told you not to walk through the forest. There's all these unexploded mines from the war." Here's another example of illustration. Wrightson putting in way more work than probably anyone at DC appreciated. And he says, "I had to rebuild your body. You were going to die. I'm sorry I had to improvise with the materials at hand." So he looks in the mirror, and of course he sees he's pretty horrific. He's horrified. So we see a flashback to that previous issue when Swamp Thing and Arcane was showing Swamp Thing his rejects, the failures. And I guess he left the door open for some reason. Because usually it's locked because he doesn't want these guys roaming around. So Patchwork Man freed himself, and he was dicking around with some test tubes and shit. And that's what started the fire. Another great panel. I think that it's interesting because Berni Wrightson has spent a lot of his life drawing Frankenstein. And this might have been the first, even though this isn't Frankenstein, Frankenstein's monster, it's obvious, kind of. They couldn't draw him looking just like, Boris Karloff, because Universal Pictures, I think, owns that copyright version of Frankenstein. So now Patchwork Man's wandering through the woods, and he sees Abigail, and with Matt. He thinks like a child, so he's like, "Oh, I will not let that man keep Abigail from me." So he knocks him out. He knocks out Matt Cable and grabs Abigail and runs off. He's running across this bridge. Swamp Thing, I guess, has floated down the river unconscious, and he wakes up. And he looks up and he says, "Oh, there's that guy who tried to rescue me, that weird monster, and he's carrying Abigail, this woman." She says, "I better stop her. I better stop him. He's probably going to hurt her." So now we get a pretty great monster fight. I wish this went on for 8 more pages. And it looks like he's got Swamp Thing on the ropes. There's another nice panel there. And then the villagers show up, led by Matt Cable. And he's like, there he is, the Swamp Thing. Let's get him. And then Patchwork Man picks up Abigail again and runs off. They all chase him. He tears up a chunk of the bridge so they can't follow. And then since they can't get Patchwork Man, they start shooting at Swamp Thing again. They just want to kill any monster, I guess. So Patchwork Man runs off. And he's, I guess he's trying to find the castle that is now like kind of, in ruins. I think part of it's underground. It fell into the underground, stream caves. And so he's digging through, and while he's distracted, Abigail hits him on the head with a piece of flaming wood. And this angers Patchwork Man. He does love her. He knows it's his daughter, but he says, she must be disciplined when bad. And he's about to hit her, and Swamp Thing stops him. Bam! And meanwhile, Abigail, while they're fighting, she falls into this chasm. Both of them are just like, "Oh no!" And they decide to team up. They realize that they should stop fighting and help Abigail. And the Patchwork Man gets under Abigail, and he kind of throws her up to Swamp Thing, and he loses his footing and falls to his death. I think. Maybe we'll see him again. Who knows? Actually, I think we do in Alan Moore's run. And he just brings Abigail over to Matt Cable, and he just hands him over. He thinks to himself, if you want the girl so badly, Cable, you can have her. A little petulant. And Matt Cable, for all of his big talk, he doesn't lift a hand to stop him. So now Abigail says, "Oh, my uncle's dead. I got nothing keeping me here. Maybe I can work with you at Interpol." Look at that weird face. That is, I wouldn't peg that as a Wrightson face. And they fly off. I don't know, it's kind of silly to be Swamp Thing's clinging to the pontoon. But just like, they would know a 550-pound monster, it would definitely throw the plane off. Okay, I gotta stop nitpicking. Here we have reprinting issue number 4, Monster on the Moors. I love that logo. And, God, great splash page. So Wrightson's starting to experiment with Swamp Thing's body, because, you know, he's made up of plant matter. So it looks like there's, like, leaves growing off of his back and a whole fucking branch or something, you know, is coming out of his shoulder. So we see that plane has crashed. See? It turns out it has nothing to do with the extra weight of the Swamp Thing on one side of the plane. And he's about to go into the plane to see if Matt and Abby are okay. And I think the dog too. And he hears like a horse clomping sound. This carriage comes up. For some reason, Swamp Thing runs and hides. He's like, oh, I better assess the situation, find out what's going on. This couple, elderly couple, they're like, oh, there's something worth salvaging here. And they kind of are talking in this weird way where, like, it doesn't seem their intentions are that benign. They might have some insidious purpose for the rescuing Matt and Abigail and the pilot. Because they do, they're alive. And they head out, back to their house. Swamp Thing follows. There's another nice full pager. And Matt tells the story of how they crashed. I guess 2 of the engines went out. It was a bad storm. And Swamp Thing's watching the whole time. Turns out Swamp Thing's thinking, I'm the reason why they're alive. Because, you know, he was on the pontoon. When he saw they were about to crash, he got out and he became a human brake. Or a swampy brake. It turns out that there's this... they were tricked by... They saw these lights as if it was a runway. But it wasn't. It was just these lights. And that's why they crashed so hard. This guy, the master of the house, they keep calling him Squire. So the pilot says, I gotta go check on the plane. It's my job. And he says, don't go out the moors. There's wolves out there and dogs. And he says, I gotta do it. So he goes outside and he's attacked by this werewolf. They hear his shrieks in the house and they're like, oh shit. They go outside. They find his savaged body. The pilot is, his throat's ripped out as if it was by a wolf. Now we're introduced to, oh, I'm sorry. I guess the dog's been outside all night. He wandered out of the plane and Matt says, oh, I must have forgot him in all the confusion. So dumb. You wouldn't forget a dog. So then they're introduced to the couple's son, this guy. And his name's Ian. His hair is very palmy. And look at this totally unnecessary caption here. They shake hands. Len Wein feels the need to say, witness. 2 hands extended to seal a bond that transcends all theologies and nationalities. The bond of friendship. So dumb. So unnecessary. Fucking ponderous, man. And so basically, you know, they want to leave. Matt and Abby are like, okay, we're out of here. And, you know, the Squire comes back and says, oh, it seems like our horses run off. Nobody's leaving tonight. There's no automobiles here. So they have to stay the night again. And once again, obviously, it seems they have ill intent, this couple, for Matt and Abby. That mustache face is so ridiculous. The dog hears a sound outside, and Matt goes outside to investigate. He wants Abby to come with him because he doesn't trust her amongst those guys. He knows they're fishy. And then the werewolf. I love the way Wrightson does werewolves. Matt shoots him to no effect. And then he says, run for the moors. Maybe we'll lose him in this mist. And it looks like the wolf's about to kill him. And then Swamp Thing grabs him by the nape. And just starts lifting him off the ground. God, this is fun stuff. And then, but this werewolf is like really scrappy. And he jumps on Wolverine's back and it just starts tearing into it, spitting out great clots of foul-tasting sap. Because, you know, he has no blood, Swamp Thing. He's got sap. Swamp Thing's like, guys, ripping me to pieces. He throws the werewolf away, but then he stumbles into this bog, quicksand, and he falls beneath. And the werewolf walks off. It looks like it's the end of Swamp Thing. Meanwhile, back at the house, Squire gives our two heroes, our two protagonists, glasses of sherry, which had knockout chops in them. They pass out. They wake up. Matt wakes up at an operating table, and the son is on a table next to him. And they're like, son, we're going to give a full blood transfusion to cure you of your lycanthropy. So I guess they admit to Matt that they've been stringing these lights up to lure people, you know, planes, and to crash land. Even though they need live specimens, they even say something like, yeah, until now, all the people died in those wrecks, so we couldn't, you know, use them to help our son. It's like, yeah, that's what happens when planes crash. It's a pretty bad plan. And so the son actually rips through his bonds and says, no, I don't want this. You don't know how horrible it is to feel the moonlight burning deep in your flesh. I would never wish that on an innocent person. I can't be a party to this. And he turns into a werewolf. Excuse me, guys. I'm exhausted. So, this looks like black and white art with these red eyes. So it looks like the werewolf is menacing Abby. Swamp Thing comes up through this trap door. I guess they're in the attic. Yeah, it's the trapdoor in the attic. The wolf attacks him. They go stumbling down the stairs. Swamp Thing's like, oh, how do you kill a werewolf? He's thinking, oh, I need silver. Oh, they've removed all the silver in the house because they didn't want to endanger their son. They're like, yeah, the parents removed all the silver from the cupboards and the walls, but not that giant chandelier that's hanging over everyone's head with a giant spike at the end. It's like, oh, come on, guys. So Swamp Thing reaches up, or leaps up, and grabs the chandelier and starts using it as a weapon. The mother gets in the way. She wants to protect her son. But it hits the werewolf anyway. He falls through the window, and it's killed him. Well, he's got a little bit left in him. The mother's like, why'd you do it, Ian? And he says, I had nothing, an eternal hell. It's much better this way. The father says, sleep well, my son, sleep well. And I guess they just leave. Even though those guys try to kill him. And this is a good point where he's like, yeah, I gotta get back on the trail of that Swamp Thing. And Abigail's like, he saved your life twice. Talk about ungrateful. And Matt, of course, says gratitude is only for the innocent. Something that monster definitely is not. Then we see a little panel that tells you what's coming next issue. Oh yeah, I should mention we see Swamp Thing once again sadly walking off. Almost every issue ends like the old Incredible Hulk TV series. It's always like Swamp Thing sadly walking away by himself. He's always alone. You can almost picture the piano music. Ding, 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 ding. Ding, 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 ding. Here's a little bonus feature. Len Wein, Berni, Wrightson. Their introductory pages they used to do for House of Mystery. Featuring Kane. These are always like played for laughs. Like we even see Daffy Duck in the background. Hanging around with these pigeons. You know, just like the EC formula. It's just a lot of bad puns. Fine feathered fiends. And here's another one. God, that's nice. I like that. This is from House of Mystery 206. The other one's from 203. Little tiny profile of Berni Wrightson in his photo. He looks like a really cool guy, Berni Wrightson. Like I want to be his pal. And here's the cover to number 4. The original cover from 1972. So there you go, guys. Roots of the Swamp Thing. 1 and 2. But really, it's Swamp Thing 1 through 4. So, like I said, though, I wanted to mention, you know, those introductory pages from House of Mystery were nice to see. But I would have definitely preferred the covers of 1 and 2 in there, because we don't know what those look like. So, I guess I can always go on the internet. So, next time, we're going to look at the rest of the series. And I'm pretty sure that's all of the Wrightson art on Swamp Thing. That's what this series collected, just the Wrightson issues. Of course, there's many more issues of Swamp Thing, other than 8 issues. But that's what he did. So thanks for watching, guys. It was really fun looking at these. I haven't picked these up in years. And I just like looking at Wrightson a lot. It's good stuff. Hopefully I'll see you next time here at the herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies.